Most people think their problems are the reason they're stuck, but the truth is, it's their reaction to those problems that keeps them there. You can't grow while you're busy explaining why you can't. Every complaint, every excuse, is a small leak draining your power. The world doesn't stop because you're tired. It doesn't pause because you're hurt. It only moves for those who move first. You've been told that talking about your pain helps, but talking too much about pain becomes another way to live inside it. Real strength doesn't come from repeating the story. It comes from rewriting it. The mentor says, the moment you stop describing your life and start designing it, everything changes. Mental strength is born the instant you realize you're the only one responsible for your peace. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Life doesn't owe you fairness, comfort, or applause. It owes you nothing, and that's your greatest freedom. Because if no one is coming to fix it, then it's all on you. And if it's all on you, you can rebuild everything. That's leadership through discipline, the courage to face reality without losing direction. You don't need sympathy. You need structure. We live in a generation addicted to noise. People post quotes they don't follow, chase motivation instead of mastery, and call distraction balance. They've confused emotional release with progress. But the problem-solving mindset sees through the illusion. It knows that calm doesn't come from comfort. It comes from control. The one who controls their emotions controls their destiny. Stop waiting for motivation to knock on your door. It's not coming. Motivation is a spark. Discipline is the fire that keeps you warm when everything around you goes cold. The mentor doesn't promise miracles. He teaches systems. Habits that turn chaos into order, hesitation into execution, weakness into wisdom. That's how you build a mind that obeys you, not one that betrays you. Every minute you spend complaining is a minute stolen from action. While you're talking about the problem, someone else is solving it. The difference between winners and watchers is simple. One gets uncomfortable and grows. The other stays comfortable and rots. Emotional control is not silence, it's strategy. It's the calm confidence that says, I'll handle this. This audiobook is not for everyone. It's for the ones who are done negotiating with laziness, done making peace with mediocrity, done pretending they're waiting for a sign. The sign is this. You're hearing it now. The mental strength you admire in others can be built inside you, if you're willing to train it. Pain is the tuition. Focus is the classroom. Discipline is the graduation. Here, you'll learn to redirect energy instead of wasting it, to replace complaint with command, to stop being emotionally reactive and become mentally deliberate. The problem-solving mindset will show you how to lead your thoughts instead of being led by them. Because your emotions were never the enemy, your inaction was. So take a breath. Leave every excuse outside. What comes next isn't soft, but it's real. It's the kind of truth that doesn't just motivate, it transforms. From this moment forward, every word is a mirror, and every lesson is a test of who you want to become. This isn't just an audiobook. It's a reset for your entire mentality. Most people spend their whole lives trying to understand what went wrong, as if digging the hole deeper would somehow help them climb out. They get lost in complaints and endless explanations, believing that finding the culprit will bring peace. But the wise mentor knows that peace is not found in analyzing the error, but in creating the solution. When someone learns to use their mental strength to look beyond chaos, the energy once used to complain transforms into constructive action. And it is in that shift of focus that true growth begins. Thinking too much about the problem is like trying to drive by looking only in the rearview mirror. You see where you've been, but never where you can go. A leader with a problem-solving mindset doesn't ignore challenges. He deciphers them. He understands that every obstacle carries a lesson, an alternative route, or an invitation to evolve. When your mind focuses on the solution, you stop being a victim of the scenario and become the architect of change. And that change begins in silence, with one simple decision: stop complaining. Imagine a captain in the open sea. He cannot control the wind, but he can adjust the sails. Focusing on the problem would mean cursing the storm. Focusing on the solution means learning to navigate better. Life works the same way. When someone practices leadership through discipline, they learn to act with serenity even amid chaos. Discipline creates clarity, and clarity transforms despair into strategy. That is the difference between those who sink and those who keep sailing. Whoever masters emotional control doesn't waste energy on what can't be changed. Instead, they channel everything toward what can be improved. That's the foundation of a problem-solving mindset, not denying the problem, but extracting wisdom from it. When you focus on solutions, your mind expands, your breathing slows, and creativity awakens. It's like opening a window in a dark room. The problem is still there, but now there's enough light to act with clarity. Some people think that positive thinking means pretending that everything is fine. But the experienced mentor knows that positive thinking is acting with purpose even when everything seems wrong. It's using your mental strength to find a way out where there used to be walls. It's saying, okay, this happened, and now, what can I do about it? That simple question changes everything. It breaks the victim cycle and ignites the engine of personal responsibility. Complaining may bring momentary relief, but it never builds anything. Action, on the other hand, builds invisible foundations. When you move your attention to what can be done, fear begins to shrink. The mind, once agitated, organizes itself like a strategic board. That's where true leadership through discipline flourishes, not in pretty speeches, but in the silent control of one's own energy. Look at the example of Thomas Edison. He didn't call his failures mistakes, but discoveries of ways that don't work. That mentality is pure problem-solving mindset. He didn't waste time lamenting his failures, but learning from them. That's how a true leader thinks. Every obstacle is a disguised tool. Every stumble is a test of patience. Failure is only final when you stop trying. Those with mental strength understand that complaining is a mental habit as addictive as procrastination. It's comfortable to blame the government, the boss, or destiny. But the discomfort of responsibility is the price of freedom. When you say, "It's my fault," the power returns to your hands. It's that kind of thinking that turns ordinary people into leaders of themselves. Changing focus toward solutions requires training and discipline. It doesn't happen overnight. It's like strengthening an invisible muscle. At first, it hurts, feels pointless, but gradually, the brain learns the new path. The practice of emotional control is exactly that. Choosing the response instead of the reaction. Choosing to act instead of complain. The energy you spend on a complaint is the same energy that could be used for a creative solution. Think about it. Instead of complaining that you don't have time, how about waking up 30 minutes earlier? Instead of saying you're unlucky, how about studying the market and creating your own opportunity? The problem-solving mindset lives on that principle. Action that replaces excuses. A disciplined leader knows that life won't stop, so he can get organized. So he organizes himself amid life. He learns to solve what can be solved, accept what can't, and keep growing even on the most chaotic days. That's leadership through discipline. Not waiting for the perfect moment, but acting clearly, even in the imperfect one. Each time you transform a complaint into movement, you become emotionally stronger. Your mental strength expands like steel under pressure. You begin to realize that the external world is only a reflection of your internal one. When you change how you react, the world seems to change with you. It feels almost magical, but it's just disciplined thought and action. Think about how many times you've said, "This is too hard." Now imagine if, instead, you had said, "How can I make this easier?" That's the essence of the problem-solving mindset. Trade the emotion of resistance for the curiosity of solution. Trade the fear of failure for the excitement of learning. That's where growth begins. The brain is like a restless dog. It will run wherever you look. If you look at the problem, it will dig the hole deeper. But if you look at the solution, it will run toward the exit. Training focus is teaching your mind to obey reason, not drama. That's what emotional control does. It silences the inner chaos, so action can rise, clean and precise. There's an old saying, "Don't tell God how big your problem is. Tell the problem how big your faith is." The modern mentor would say the same, but replace faith with focus. Because faith is focus in motion, and those who keep their focus on finding exits always find them. That's the power of leadership through discipline, staying calm while everyone else despairs. Those who solve more and complain less end up becoming role models, even without trying. People can tell who brings solutions and who brings confusion. Leadership is not a title, it's a consequence. And those who master the problem-solving mindset lead naturally, simply by learning to respond with serenity, while others only react with anxiety. When you focus on solutions, something curious happens. The problems seem to shrink. They don't disappear, but they lose their power to paralyze. And in the silence of this new perspective, space opens up for the next step, the one that demands even more of you, taking full responsibility for everything that happens in your life. Taking full responsibility is an act of courage that few people practice. Most prefer to blame traffic, childhood, or the boss, believing that pointing fingers equals solving problems. But those who have mental strength understand that blaming is wasting power. Responsibility is the key that gives you back control over your own life. When you say, "It's my fault," you are also saying, "The change depends on me." It's funny how people want freedom but run from responsibility. They want to own their destiny, but keep outsourcing their decisions. The wise mentor sees the opposite. True independence is born from duty, not avoidance. A leadership through discipline mindset doesn't complain about the rules, it creates its own. That's when the game of life changes, because those who create their own rules create their own future. Personal responsibility is the foundation of emotional control. When you accept that your emotions, decisions, and reactions are yours, the world can no longer manipulate you. Nothing knocks you off balance because you understand that power is not in controlling others, but in controlling yourself. That awareness is liberating, and it's one of the pillars of true leadership. Imagine a driver who blames the car every time he misses a turn. It sounds ridiculous, but that's what most people do with their lives. When something goes wrong, they look for external culprits, as if the solution were outside themselves. The mentor knows that the steering wheel is in your hands, and discipline is the fuel. The road may be rough, but those with a problem-solving mindset know that complaining won't move the car. Action will. The secret lies in changing the question. Instead of, "Why did this happen to me?" ask, "What can I do now?" That simple shift activates the creative brain and silences the victim mentality. This is where the problem-solving mindset is born, the ability to see lessons in failures and use them as fuel. That perspective turns crisis into progress and mistakes into wisdom. When you take responsibility, you discover a power no one can take from you. You stop expecting the world to be fair and start acting with strategy. It's the transition from naivety to mastery. Leadership through discipline is born from that mature posture, not from those who complain, but from those who rebuild. It's a quiet strength that doesn't need to shout, it simply acts. A great example is Jocko Willink, a former U.S. Navy SEAL. He wrote Extreme Ownership, where he teaches that a true leader takes responsibility even for the team's mistakes. He understands that full responsibility creates moral authority. That philosophy is the essence of mental strength, the ability to say, "If something failed, I'll own it and fix it." Taking responsibility also means stopping waiting for permission. Most people only act when someone says, "Now you can." But those with emotional control don't wait for the green light. They create their own. They understand that life is too short to live asking for validation. And that attitude is exactly what separates leaders from followers. Do you want to grow? Then stop blaming the past. It's gone. Those who keep saying, "I'd be different if I'd been born elsewhere," only delay their success. The mentor teaches that responsibility doesn't rewrite the past. It redesigns the future. The energy you waste lamenting could be invested in building. Choose wisely where to put your mental strength. Responsibility is a form of self-leadership. When you take charge of your life, you inspire others to do the same. That's leadership through discipline and action. Leading not through words, but through example. People follow those who take charge, not those who complain. And the more you own, the more others respect you. Having a problem-solving mindset means accepting that not everything is your fault, but everything is your responsibility. It means that even when the mistake isn't yours, the response is. You don't control what happens, but you control what you do with what happens. That's how life becomes a school, and you become your own teacher. Notice how the most balanced people are those who take ownership of everything. They don't live in panic because they know they control their attitude. and that power generates calm. That calm, in turn, strengthens emotional control. It's a virtuous cycle that begins with a simple choice. Stop outsourcing blame. When something goes wrong today, try this experiment. Instead of looking for a culprit, take responsibility and notice how your energy shifts. You'll feel lighter because responsibility doesn't weigh. It frees. It feels like being back at the center of the game, with full control of the pieces. That's what the mentor calls active peace. There's a kind of confidence that only those who take responsibility know. It's the security of knowing that, no matter what happens, you'll find a way. That strength doesn't come from outside. It comes from inner discipline. It comes from the daily practice of looking within and adjusting what can be adjusted. That's pure mental strength. Self-responsibility also sharpens your strategic vision. Those who live blaming others learn nothing. Those who take ownership learn everything. And the more you learn, the more prepared you are for the next challenge. That posture builds a life of constant growth, where problems stop being enemies and become teachers. Taking responsibility is a silent but powerful act. There are no applause, no medals, only evolution. It's a daily training of humility and emotional maturity. And when that practice becomes a habit, focus naturally shifts towards something essential. Training your mind to stay stable and concentrated even when the world tries to distract you. The human mind is like a river. If not guided, it floods. Training focus deliberately means learning to direct that flow toward what truly matters. Most people live distracted, reacting to notifications, desires, and thoughts like leaves carried by the wind. But those who develop mental strength know focus is power, and power must be used intentionally. That's where mastery begins. The nature of the mind is to wander. It loves noise, drama, and stimulation. The mentor knows that focus is an invisible muscle. It weakens with misuse and strengthens with proper effort. That's where leadership through discipline appears, leading your own mind with authority. Each no to distraction is a louder yes to evolution. Training focus isn't meditating 10 minutes and expecting miracles. It's daily discipline, like sharpening a blade. Those with a problem-solving mindset understand that focus is the tool that turns effort into results. Speed means nothing without direction. That's why true leaders don't chase velocity. They chase clarity. Here's a practical example. Pick a simple task like reading 20 pages a day. At first, your mind will scream for your phone or coffee. But if you persist, it submits. That's emotional control in motion. The ability to stay where you are even when everything pulls you away. Focus is built through resistance, never comfort. Training focus is teaching the brain to stay present. The past is memory, the future imagination. Only the now holds power. When you're present, your performance doubles, clarity expands, and time seems to slow. The mentor calls this the zone of mastery, where mental strength meets productive silence. We live in an age of distractions sold as urgency. Every notification is a trap disguised as importance. Those who practice leadership through discipline know this and build boundaries. They turn off what doesn't matter, set schedules, and protect attention like treasure. In today's world, focus is the new luxury. Deliberate focus means deciding what deserves your energy. Each wrong yes steals from the right one. It takes courage to decline even good things that aren't essential. The mentor teaches. Who tries to focus on everything focuses on nothing. That's the essence of the problem-solving mindset. Solving less, but solving better. Look at great athletes. They don't just train bodies. They train focus. A boxer distracted for a second gets hit. A pilot who loses concentration crashes. And a dreamer distracted from his goal wakes up 10 years later unfulfilled. Emotional control is the shield protecting your focus from self-sabotage. The secret lies in rituals. Set fixed times for what matters. Study, plan, reflect. This programs the brain to enter focus mode automatically. It's like teaching a dog to sit. At first it ignores you, then it obeys. The brain learns through disciplined repetition. That's training, not motivation. Training focus is also choosing which noise to tolerate. Not everything deserves attention, and not every problem deserves response. The mentor says, focus is emotional economy. Each ounce of energy spent on the irrelevant weakens your mental strength. Each moment you guard your peace, you amplify your power. There's a modern myth that focus means doing more. In truth, it means doing less, but better. It's the art of elimination, not accumulation. When you grasp that, your days gain space, your mind breathes, your body relaxes. Leadership through discipline is ruling time with wisdom, like a king defending his kingdom. If you want to train focus practically, start small. Remove one distraction per week. Social media, idle talk, pointless tasks. Use that free time to grow, read, write, move. This replacement is the core of the problem-solving mindset. It's not enough to cut what harms. You must plant what helps. Focus is emotional too. If you're trapped in resentment, concentration fades. That's why emotional control underpins focus. Controlling emotions isn't suppression, it's redirection. Anger becomes strength. Sadness becomes reflection. Fear becomes strategy. The energy's the same, only the target changes. Remember, focus is choice, and every choice has a cost. When you say yes to discipline, you say no to distraction. That exchange feels hard at first, but becomes pleasure once results appear. Those with mental strength find freedom in following the rules that fortify them, not in ignoring them. Training focus is self-knowledge. The more you observe your mind, the clearer your true motives become. That's how real leadership through discipline emerges, leading not through external control, but internal clarity. The focused mind knows what it wants, and that's why it gets there. Over time, deliberate focus builds a lighter life. Less anxiety, less comparison, more direction. You start doing what truly matters and ignoring what only fills space. When focus becomes second nature, something powerful happens. Action becomes effortless. Because fear loses grip when attention lives in motion. And it's at that point, when focus stands firm and the mind grows silent, that the next challenge appears. To act before fear has time to grow. Fear is like a shadow. The more you stare at it, the bigger it gets. That's why the wise act before fear has time to grow. Hesitation is fertilizer for panic. A single thought repeated 1,000 times becomes an imaginary monster. Action, on the other hand, is the antidote. Those with mental strength know courage isn't the absence of fear, it's movement in spite of it. The mind invents stories that feel real. What if I fail? What if it all goes wrong? Each what if is an invisible chain keeping you still. The problem-solving mindset cuts those chains with one simple move, doing. Because once you act, fear loses form. It's only smoke, and action is the wind that clears it. Think of how many chances you've missed waiting for the right moment. The truth is, that moment never arrives. Those who practice leadership through discipline know this. Perfect action doesn't exist, only action now. Acting early, even amid uncertainty, is the secret of those who defeat fear before it matures. Fear moves fast. It grows at the speed of doubt. That's why you must act with rhythm. The longer you wait, the deeper its roots. The mentor teaches. Movement builds confidence. Inaction breeds panic. This is the core of emotional control, acting firmly even when your pulse races. Calm is born from action, not thought. Picture an actor backstage. Before the curtain rises, he shakes. But once he steps forward, his whole body flows. Life works the same way. The first step is always the heaviest. After that, fear melts away. Those who move quickly leave no time for excuses. That's the power of mental strength in motion. Acting before fear grows is a strategy. You trick your own brain, showing it you're in charge. When it senses movement, alarms fade. It's like a pilot taking control during turbulence. The storm remains, but the feeling changes. That's leadership through discipline, mastery of self under pressure. Fear is also energy, and energy can be redirected. When you turn fear into fuel, you awaken hidden force. The problem-solving mindset uses fear as a compass. If something scares you, it probably matters. And if it matters, it's worth action. Fear isn't an enemy, it's a signal for growth. The most confident people aren't those who feel less fear. They're the ones who move despite it. They've learned that courage is born from action, not waiting. The body learns through movement. That's why emotional control isn't about erasing fear, but dancing with it, without losing rhythm. A simple trick. Count from 5 to 1 and move. This method, even used by psychologists, breaks hesitation's cycle. When you reach 1, act, speak, send, start, stand. The brain has no time to build panic. This small exercise is pure mental strength training. Each use strengthens the muscle of courage. Acting fast doesn't mean acting impulsively. It means acting intentionally before fear invents stories. The mentor says, don't wait for confidence to begin. Begin to earn confidence. Confidence comes from results, not imagination. Leadership through discipline means emotional steadiness that moves even without certainty. When fear rises, breathe and act. Do something small, but do it. Wash the dishes, write a line, send a message. The key is motion. The problem-solving mindset knows the body in motion forces the mind to align. When body and mind unite, fear finds no room to grow. Remember, hesitation is self-sabotage disguised as prudence. The wise recognize when they're overthinking. They don't wait for fear to fade. They walk with it beside them. That's how mental strength shows. Not in noise, but in calm, steady steps. Those who act early harvest early. Life rewards motion, not intention. Brilliant ideas die every day for lack of action. The mentor teaches that the future belongs to doers, not planners who never begin. Leadership through discipline keeps focus when emotion wants escape. Notice how fear grows stronger at night, when everything is still and imagination runs free. That's why daytime action heals. Walk, exercise, talk, create. Each movement destroys mental stagnation. It's the body reminding the mind that control still lives here. Emotional control begins in motion. Action is a form of prayer. While some ask for courage, others move and find it on the way. Mental strength is built exactly there, in the mess, between fear and the next step. Motion creates clarity, and clarity dissolves panic. In the end, fear is just a story unchallenged by experience. And the only way to challenge it is to act. The sooner you move, the faster you see it was never that big. And as fear fades, space appears for the next level of mastery. Learning to take responsibility for your reactions. Everyone faces bad days. But what truly separates people is not what happens to them. It's how they react. Most respond with impulse, anger, or victimhood, and then regret it. The mentor teaches that doing this is handing control of your own mind to chaos. Those who master emotional control know reacting is easy, but responding takes strength, and that strength is built through daily mental discipline. Reaction is reflex, response is choice. When you react, the world commands you. When you respond, you command the world. The difference lies in 1 second of awareness, that instant before exploding, complaining, or giving up. It's in that second that mental strength is tested and refined. And the more you practice, the faster you transform emotion into clarity. Think of a common argument. While most defend themselves by shouting, the wise observe. They understand that every word spoken in anger is a seed that grows into regret. True leadership through discipline begins there, in the silence before the response. That silence isn't weakness. It's concentrated power, waiting for the right moment to act. Taking responsibility for your reactions means stopping the use of emotions as excuses. It's saying, I felt anger but chose calm. That's maturity. That's problem-solving mindset. Life will keep testing you, but those who know themselves stop being controlled by their impulses. The emotions remain. They just obey consciousness now. The untrained mind is like a wild horse. It runs aimlessly and throws off anyone who tries to ride it. But when you practice emotional control, you learn to ride firmly. You feel fear rising, anger building, but you don't drop the reins. That's the essence of self-leadership. Not denying what you feel, but deciding what to do with what you feel. The greatest leaders in history mastered their reactions. Think of Nelson Mandela. He spent 27 years in prison and came out without hate. That's mental strength in its purest form. He knew resentment would keep him imprisoned even outside the bars. That wisdom is the highest emotional control, staying peaceful while the world provokes you. You can't control what others do, but you can control how it affects you. That's the foundation of leadership through discipline. A true leader isn't the one who commands, but the one who stays steady while everything collapses. They respond with intelligence, not instinct. That difference earns trust and power. Taking responsibility for your reactions is an act of liberation. When you stop blaming others for what you feel, you start growing. It's like cleaning the inner mirror. Suddenly, everything looks clearer. Problem-solving mindset thrives in that clarity. You see what truly matters and stop wasting energy on what's small. The secret is to train the pause. Before answering, breathe. Before complaining, observe. That pause is the space where the old you ends and the new one begins. Emotional control lives inside that tiny gap. That's where chaos becomes wisdom and reactivity becomes strategy. That's where true mastery is born. Emotions are like fire. They can warm or destroy. It all depends on who holds the match. The mentor teaches that those with mental strength don't try to extinguish the fire, but learn to control it. They use it to forge discipline, courage, and focus. And once they master that inner fire, nothing outside can scare them anymore. To react is human. To respond is divine. The difference is consciousness. Leadership through discipline turns impulses into decisions and chaos into direction. That's the mark of calm leaders. They feel everything but aren't dominated by anything. They breathe, analyze, and then act. And for that, their actions weigh more than words. When you learn to master your reactions, life becomes lighter. Fights lose importance, drama dissolves, and focus returns. The problem-solving mindset helps you see solutions where confusion used to live. And the clearer your responses become, the clearer your results follow. Taking command of your emotions also protects your energy. Every impulsive reaction drains vitality, while conscious response multiplies strength. That's why emotional control is self-care. It doesn't just resolve external conflicts. It keeps you from waging war against yourself. Once you accept that your reactions are your responsibility, you level up. Nothing knocks you off course anymore. You feel, process, and move forward. That constancy is the essence of mental strength, staying centered under pressure. It's a power that doesn't need to show itself because it's felt. Training this control takes practice. You'll slip, lose patience, regret, and that's okay. The secret is restarting consciously. The mentor reminds you, each time you lose your temper, you gain awareness. That's leadership through discipline shaping character, forging patience and serenity where reaction once ruled. In the end, taking responsibility for your reactions means becoming master of your own weather. The world may rain, storm, thunder, but inside there's sun. That stability lets you see clearly, think strategically, and live purposefully. And in that inner peace, the next step emerges, interrupting the circular thinking before it consumes you. Panic is a thief of clarity. When fear takes over, the mind shrinks, and everything feels urgent. You lose vision, patience, and reason. The mentor teaches that panic is just the body asking for air, not more thoughts. Emotional control means creating space inside that chaos, expanding your awareness when everything seems to be closing in. That's where decisions recover their strength. When panic rises, the first instinct is to react. But reacting only feeds the fire. The secret is to pause, even if only for a few seconds. That small pause is the difference between destroying and resolving. It's in that moment of silence that mental strength starts to take command. Space, not speed, saves clarity. Creating space doesn't mean ignoring what's happening. It means breathing between the facts. The problem-solving mindset knows that rushing clouds reason. By slowing down, you see details hidden by anxiety. The mind that creates space transforms fear into strategy. The chaos outside loses power over the calm inside. The mentor compares panic to a storm. You can't stop it, but you can shelter and wait for the wind to pass. Running only gets you wetter. Leadership through discipline is that shelter, the mental structure that keeps you centered while the storm rages. Calm is not the absence of fear, it's mastery of timing. When you panic, your perception narrows. You see only the threat, not the exits. But when you create space, your field of vision widens. Suddenly, you notice possibilities. Emotional control is this ability to expand awareness under pressure. It's not instinct, it's training. Repeat it until calm becomes natural. Breathing is the simplest and most powerful way to create space. 3 deep breaths can reset your entire system. The mentor recommends a practical ritual. Inhale through your nose for 4 seconds. Hold for 4. Exhale for 4. That rhythm signals your body that control has returned. That's pure mental strength at work. A person in panic cannot lead. Their words become noise, and their presence spreads fear. Leadership through discipline begins by leading yourself out of panic first. You can't guide others through storms if you drown in your own. Inner stability creates external authority. Calm minds create calm environments. Creating space means giving your brain oxygen to think. The problem-solving mindset is built on that principle. Panic is suffocation. Space is breathing. When you breathe, the emotional fog clears, and reason returns. That's when true solutions emerge, not from rush, but from awareness. When emotions rise, step back mentally. Don't say the first thing that comes to mind. Don't make decisions while your pulse is racing. Wait for the body to calm. The mentor teaches that waiting 5 minutes in silence can prevent 5 months of regret. That's emotional control in practice, not theory. The world glorifies speed, but wisdom lives in pauses. Mental strength doesn't mean constant motion. It means intentional motion. The strongest minds move slowly enough to notice the right door. Slowness isn't weakness, it's precision. And precision is what separates leaders from amateurs. Those who panic easily haven't learned to trust themselves. Self-trust comes from discipline, from seeing yourself handle adversity again and again. Leadership through discipline creates this faith. Each crisis becomes proof that you can endure. And each time you stay calm, your mind sharpens even more. Panic shrinks, space expands. It's a simple law. The more you create mental space, the larger your capacity for wisdom grows. The problem-solving mindset treats calm as a competitive advantage. While others drown in noise, you analyze, plan, and act. That's how the calm always win in the long run. To create space is to protect your inner peace as sacred ground. No one enters without permission. That boundary isn't selfish, it's survival. Emotional control requires selective access. Not every problem deserves your reaction. Protect your peace as fiercely as your dreams. A good way to practice this is through silence. Spend a few minutes daily without music, screens, or talk. Just breathe and observe. It feels uncomfortable at first, then liberating. That's how mental strength grows. Through stillness that strengthens focus. The mentor says, space is where solutions live. Noise only repeats problems. When you step back, patterns reveal themselves, and what once felt impossible begins to make sense. Leadership through discipline turns confusion into clarity, one pause at a time. Eventually, you learn to pause even during chaos, to find peace in motion. That's advanced problem-solving mindset, staying lucid while others react blindly. Calm becomes your natural state, and from that state comes your next tool, a question that resets your focus instantly. What would truly help right now? The question, what would truly help right now, seems simple, but it's one of the most powerful in existence. It cuts through mental noise, breaks emotional drama, and brings you back to the present. It's the kind of question that transforms confusion into clarity. The mentor teaches that this phrase is an emotional anchor. Emotional control begins when you direct the mind toward what's useful, not what's urgent. In moments of tension, the mind wants to solve everything at once. It tries to control the future, predict outcomes, eliminate discomfort. But this question acts as a brake of wisdom. It pulls you back to the now, where solutions actually live. The problem-solving mindset understands that clarity isn't born from desperation, but from presence. Asking what would truly help right now changes the mental frequency. It transforms focus from the problem to the solution. It's an internal command that activates mental strength, silences emotional noise, and awakens strategic reasoning. This question is like a flashlight in the dark, simple but enough to take the next step safely. The mentor recommends turning this question into a habit. Whenever you feel confusion, anger, or fear, pause and ask yourself. This practice reprograms the brain to think with intention. Leadership through discipline is exactly that, teaching your mind to serve reason, not emotion. The habit of asking creates space and replaces impulse with clarity. Often, What truly helps isn't what the ego wants to do. Sometimes it's staying silent. Sometimes it's listening. Other times, it's leaving the environment. The problem-solving mindset recognizes that helping isn't always acting, it's acting correctly. Knowing when to remain quiet is also a form of wisdom. Calm is often the most effective response. This question also reduces the emotional weight of challenges. It changes the internal tone of the conversation. Instead of, "Why did this happen to me?" you start thinking, "How can I handle this?" Emotional control is born from that shift in perspective. It's the power to transform suffering into strategy and pain into direction. When you ask, "What would truly help right now?" you automatically activate the rational side of the brain. The body slows down, the heart rate stabilizes, and reasoning returns. This technique is even used in military and crisis therapy training. It's mental strength in practice, transforming chaos into focus through self-awareness. The mentor often says this question is a portal of wisdom. It doesn't eliminate the problem, but illuminates the path to handle it. Leadership through discipline means applying this mindset even to small things. Before responding, acting, or deciding, ask yourself. The right answer almost always comes with calm. Sometimes, what would help is simply breathing. A minute of conscious silence can solve what hours of anxiety cannot. The problem-solving mindset values the pause because it understands that action without clarity is confusion disguised as productivity. The pause, in this context, is pure power. This question is also an antidote to impulsiveness. When emotion dominates, it restores control. What would truly help right now is like an internal reset button. It clears excess and forces you to choose what truly matters. Emotional control grows every time you press that button instead of reacting blindly. You start realizing that you don't always need to do more. You just need to do what's right. This question teaches emotional economy. Mental strength isn't about intensity, it's about direction. Focusing on what's essential takes courage, because it means letting go of drama and choosing lucidity. That's applied simplicity. Over time, this practice changes the way you see everything. Conflicts become chances for evolution, mistakes become lessons, and crises become invitations to grow. That's leadership through discipline acting quietly. Leading yourself means staying calm enough to ask the right question, even in chaos. When the mind answers, "Nothing would help now," no, that's a lie. Something always can, even if it's waiting, breathing, or resting. That awareness separates the reactive from the resilient. The problem-solving mindset doesn't seek magic solutions, but possible ones. And they always start with a conscious step. This question also dissolves victimhood. When you ask, "What would truly help right now?" you shift focus from who caused the problem to how to solve it. That's emotional control in its purest form. Maturity begins when you choose to be the problem solver, not the complainer. With time, this question becomes instinctive. The trained mind doesn't waste energy on what can't change. It turns instantly to what can improve. That's how mental strength consolidates, by turning awareness into reflex. Thinking right becomes habit, and habit becomes power. Asking what would truly help is an act of self-leadership. It's leadership through discipline lived in daily life. It's the kind of attitude that turns ordinary people into examples of balance and wisdom. Those who practice it don't waste time reacting. They act with purpose. And over time, you notice a pattern. Each time you ask, "What would truly help right now?" the answer arrives faster. And usually, it's simple. And that simplicity leads to the next step of the journey. Replacing complaints with small, consistent actions that move life forward. Complaining is easy. Acting is rare. And that's why most people stay where they are. The mentor teaches that every complaint is a silent reminder that something must change, but those who don't act repeat the same cycle. The problem-solving mindset transforms this habit. It swaps empty words for concrete gestures. Because progress is born from movement, not murmuring. Complaining is a way to postpone responsibility. When you complain, you play the victim. When you act, you take command. Leadership through discipline is exactly that, turning complaint into command. It's understanding that no one will fix your life for you, and that the power of change is hidden inside every small decision. Small actions are the beginning of big transformations. Reading 10 pages a day, saving a little money, exercising, studying for 30 minutes. It all seems minor, but shifts everything. Mental strength understands that progress doesn't come from intensity, but consistency. What you do daily is what builds or destroys your future. The mentor says complaining is like sitting in the rain, waiting for the sun to return. Acting is opening the umbrella and moving forward. The problem-solving mindset always chooses the second path, because it knows that action generates energy. Even a small step, when repeated with discipline, transforms the ground beneath your feet. The lazy mind loves to complain. It creates clever excuses to hide its fear of trying. But those who practice emotional control know excuses are fear in disguise. Action cures fear, complaint feeds it. And the more you move, the more courage grows, like a muscle that finally wakes up. Replacing complaints with action is reprogramming your brain. Each time you act instead of whine, you reinforce a new neural path. Leadership through discipline is that constant training, choosing to do even when you don't feel like it. Discipline doesn't remove fatigue, but it ensures fatigue never wins. Complaining keeps you stuck in the past. Action connects you to the present. Mental strength understands that the only real time is now, the only one where change exists. The past teaches, the future inspires, but only the present transforms. And every transformation begins in the instant you decide to act. The mentor recommends a simple exercise. Every time you catch yourself complaining, transform the complaint into a question. What can I do about this? That's the essence of the problem-solving mindset. Suddenly, the impossible becomes a plan, and the plan becomes progress. The energy shifts because focus shifts. Action is contagious. When you move, you inspire others to move. That's the silent power of example. Leadership through discipline doesn't need a shout. It influences through coherence. While some complain about the weight, others are already training. While some complain about luck, others are studying the market. Destiny favors the ones who act. Complaining is emotionally expensive. Each negative word drains vital energy. Emotional control means saving that energy for what matters. Those who speak less and do more suffer less stress because they channel energy toward creation, not destruction. Productive silence is the language of the strong. Small actions build self-confidence. When you see yourself capable of acting, even a little, something inside awakens. That's the flame of mental strength, the belief in your own effort. Nobody builds a cathedral overnight. It begins with one brick. And the first brick is always a decision. Complaint is the child of comparison. You get frustrated because you see others advancing and forget that you can start too. The problem-solving mindset kills that poison, reminding you that progress is personal. Success isn't about luck, it's about rhythm. And the right rhythm is the one you can maintain daily. Those who practice leadership through discipline act even without motivation. Because motivation is unstable, but discipline is solid. Action without emotion is the secret of great achievers. They don't wait for the right moment. They create it through consistency. That's the power of persistence over chaos. Replacing complaint with action is a form of gratitude. Instead of lamenting what's missing, you work with what you have. That attitude changes your entire mental field. Emotional control grows because you leave reactive mode and enter creative mode. The mind that creates doesn't have time to complain. The mentor reminds you that every small action is a seed. You might not see results today, but they're growing. Mental strength is trusting the process even when applause hasn't come yet. True success begins silently, but ends loudly. Complaining distances you from solutions. Acting brings you closer to them. And the gap between the two is always a choice. The problem-solving mindset understands that every minute spent whining is a minute stolen from building. You can curse the road or start paving it. The difference is destiny. And when action becomes natural, everything changes. Emotions calm, the mind clears, and decisions become precise. And in that new state of clarity, the next step emerges, calming emotions to make clear, wise decisions. Emotions are like waves, inevitable, powerful, and temporary. The mistake most people make is trying to fight them instead of learning to surf. The mentor teaches that calming emotions doesn't mean ignoring what you feel, but understanding what each emotion is trying to say. Emotional control is that art, turning chaos into clarity, impulsiveness into strategy. When the inner sea is calm, thought becomes sharp. Every decision made under emotional turbulence is a gamble. Anger shortens reasoning, anxiety distorts time, and fear amplifies risks. That's why those who practice mental strength know that the first step is not deciding, it's breathing. Breathing is the hidden button of lucidity. 3 conscious breaths can save years of regret. Leadership through discipline is born exactly from that calm. Leading means keeping the mind stable when everyone else is panicking. It's seeing the whole board while others see only one piece. That serenity separates the impulsive from the wise. The true leader isn't the fastest, he's the calmest. Calm means vision. Emotion is a messenger, not an enemy. It shows where something needs attention. But when it takes the wheel, the ship loses course. The problem-solving mindset knows how to translate feelings into useful action. If anger appears, turn it into drive. If fear arises, use it as preparation. Emotions are data. Learn to read them. A good exercise is the observer's pause. When you feel something strong, imagine watching yourself from outside. See what you think. Hear what you feel. That distance creates inner space. Emotional control lives in that gap, the space between impulse and choice. That's where wisdom and stability grow. The mentor teaches that emotions aren't to be suppressed, but educated. Emotional discipline is like taming a wild animal. Patience, repetition, firmness. Mental strength is the inner trainer, keeping order even when instinct wants escape. Every time you choose calm, you strengthen your command over yourself. Emotional clarity builds rational clarity. When the heart screams, the mind goes silent. When the heart calms, thought returns. Leadership through discipline aligns emotion and logic, so one doesn't sabotage the other. It's the harmony between feeling deeply and deciding wisely, the balance every mature mind seeks. Think of a decision made in anger. You likely regretted it later. Anger is a lens that distorts proportions. The problem-solving mindset learns to let the fire fade before acting. Emotion is energy, but decision is direction. Strength without direction destroys. Calm gives power purpose. Controlling emotions doesn't mean becoming cold, but conscious. It means staying whole even when the world falls apart. Emotional control is the skill of remaining centered while external chaos screams. That stability is rare and therefore powerful. Whoever masters emotions masters life. Human nature craves instant relief, but the mentor says, trade relief for lucidity. Mental strength knows enduring temporary discomfort is the price of correct decisions. While the impatient act to ease pain, the wise wait to act with precision. In the long run, precision always wins. A simple technique to calm yourself is naming what you feel. Saying, I'm anxious, I'm angry, or I'm confused already weakens the emotion's grip. Awareness neutralizes chaos. Leadership through discipline is this quiet practice of watching without judging. The more you understand yourself, the less you're ruled by emotions. An agitated mind invents problems that don't exist. That's why the problem-solving mindset refuses to decide under emotional pressure. It creates distance, breathes, analyzes, and only then acts. Haste is the enemy of precision. Calm decisions last, rushed ones collapse. The body also speaks. When emotion takes over, it tenses, traps breath, contracts. Relaxing the body helps relax the mind. Emotional control begins in the physical. Walking, stretching, deep breathing, all of it resets your system. Balance is a dialogue between body and consciousness. Calm is contagious. A peaceful leader inspires confidence. An anxious one spreads insecurity. Mental strength creates this atmosphere of serenity that steadies everyone around. True leadership is silent, but its presence changes the room. That quiet energy separates the reactive from the reliable. Emotion without control is a storm. Guided emotion is wind at your back. Leadership through discipline uses each feeling as fuel for growth. Fear becomes prudence. Anger becomes creative drive. Sadness becomes introspection. Nothing is wasted. The disciplined mind recycles every emotion into power. With time, you'll see that calming emotions is power, not weakness. The problem-solving mindset understands that strength lies in not losing yourself. When the world shouts, The wise listen. When chaos dominates, they observe. In serenity, the clearest path appears. And when heart and mind finally align, decisions stop being reactions and become creations. Life gains rhythm, the body relaxes, focus renews. From that deep balance arises the next challenge, maintaining consistency even when results come slowly. Haste is the enemy of real progress. The impatient mind wants harvest without planting, results without process. But the mentor teaches that every great construction takes time. Mental strength is the ability to keep going even when the mirror shows no change. Growth is invisible before it's evident. That's why so few persist long enough to see their seeds bloom. On days when nothing seems to move, discipline becomes your shield. It keeps you firm while motivation sleeps. Leadership through discipline is that silent pact with purpose, showing up every day, through rain or shine. It's the invisible training that eyes can't see, but the future rewards generously. The problem-solving mindset understands that slowness isn't failure. It's simply the natural rhythm of building something that lasts. The modern world glorifies immediacy, but the wise play the long game. They know that consistency is the real name of victory. It's in the quiet of routine that empires rise. Those with emotional control don't quit when boredom hits. They understand enthusiasm fades, but commitment remains. Keeping consistency when the sparkle is gone separates amateurs from masters. The focus is on doing what's right, not what's exciting. Progress loves repetition. That's how it reveals itself. Think of a body being shaped in the gym. At first, nothing changes. After weeks, small differences appear. Months later, the mirror starts to reward you. The same applies to the mind, the business, the habit. Mental strength is what holds rhythm until results show. Consistency is the true strength of the strong. The mentor teaches that apparent slowness is life testing your worthiness. It's reality asking, do you really want this? The answer comes through action, not words. Leadership through discipline shows that silent persistence is worth more than 1,000 loud promises. Those who endure time end up mastering it. The problem-solving mindset doesn't get frustrated by delays. It investigates. It asks, what can I adjust? It sees obstacles as data, not punishment. Improving, testing, and continuing are part of the process. Patience isn't passivity, it's intelligence in motion. Consistency is the marriage between discipline and faith, the faith that effort is never in vain. Emotional control stops discouragement from taking over during quiet seasons. It's easy to believe when everything blooms, hard when the soil looks dry. But that's exactly where growth is happening underground. The mentor often says, results don't test you when they come, they test you when they delay. It's in that interval that many give up and few get stronger. Mental strength is built in those uncertain periods, when no one's watching, but you keep going anyway. The invisible effort builds the visible outcome. Being consistent is respecting life's timing. Every fruit has its season. Forcing growth destroys the seed. Leadership through discipline means acting steadily without anxiety, trusting the process while time does its work. Genuine growth doesn't accept shortcuts. Slow progress teaches what quick success never could. It teaches patience, focus, and humility. The problem-solving mindset understands that every day without results is a character lesson. Destiny doesn't reward those who start enthusiastically, but those who finish committed. Consistency is the quietest form of faith. When your mind wants to give up, remember, what feels slow today will become the season you grew the most. Emotional control keeps your hands on the wheel when the sea is too calm. Boredom breaks focus. Focus defeats boredom. The secret is to keep moving even without applause. Consistency also shapes identity. You stop being someone who tries and become someone who is. Mental strength transforms action into identity. When habit becomes part of who you are, discipline stops feeling heavy and turns natural. That's how the unshakable are made. The mentor teaches that whoever masters time, masters destiny. Impatience is the enemy of mastery. Leadership through discipline proves that consistency beats talent. The genius appears and disappears. The disciplined one remains. And in the end, it's always the one who stays that tells the story. Maintaining consistency isn't just action, it's belief. The problem-solving mindset believes even when the world doubts. It's rational faith, knowing results are a matter of time. Time never denies harvest to those who plant daily. It only observes to see who truly deserves it. Each day of consistency is an invisible seed. Emotional control helps you stay firm even without applause. One day, everything that seemed slow will be remembered as necessary. True progress is quiet at the start, but thunderous at the end. It's the reward of those who persist when no one else believes. And it's exactly at that point, when patience meets discipline, that the cycle completes. Because once you master focus, action, and calm, you become the owner of your own mind. And from that mastery, the final lesson naturally arises: to apply all this knowledge with responsibility, purpose, and daily intention. The entire journey you've heard so far isn't theory, it's pure practice. These are principles that shape strong minds, self-leaders, and problem-solvers in a world full of excuses. Now, the question is simple. Will you just understand, or will you apply? Mental strength isn't built by listening, it's built by doing. Action is the real teacher. If you want to change your life, start today, with what you have, where you are. One small step is more powerful than 1,000 intentions. The problem-solving mindset teaches that progress doesn't depend on luck, but on consistency. Don't wait for motivation to come. It's born after movement. Time is passing, and it doesn't return. When you master your reactions, control your focus, and maintain discipline even in silence, something changes deeply within you. The outer world begins to respond to your inner state. Emotional control turns chaos into clarity, and consistency turns effort into achievement. That's how real strength manifests: calm, solid, unshakable. Now look at yourself honestly. What's still stopping you from applying this? Lack of time, will, courage? None of these excuses change the truth. The power is in your hands. Leadership through discipline starts when you stop waiting for someone else and become the one who acts. There's no other path. You don't need more advice. You need commitment. The consistency that builds empires begins in small decisions. Sleeping early, studying, acting, insisting. Mental strength grows from repeated right choices, not from fear of mistakes. Once you understand that, success stops being mystery and becomes consequence. So if this message awakens something in you, don't stop here. Apply it. Expand it. Grow. And if you want to keep strengthening your mind, your discipline, and your purpose, subscribe now to the channel and turn on notifications. Here, you'll learn to become unshakable, step by step, day after day. The next level of your life begins the moment you decide to act.